I've never seen such a cool man. To build a cabin for myself who has been single for 30 years. He worked from spring to winter. The temperature from the beginning was 30 degrees. It took a year. Transformed into a dream house for 30 million people. The man's name is Xiaoshui. You can't afford a house in a big city. In a fit of anger, he took the dog that had been with him for many years. Enjoy your retirement. He first marked the ground with a rope. Measure the approximate area of the house. Take out a small shovel and hit it on the ground. Because Xiaoshui moves bricks at the construction site all year round. It only takes one morning. You can dig out the rough outline of the house. To speed up digging. Xiaoshui even specially called his cousin Dashui over. Dig together. The so-called blessed exclusiveness. This is a good brother. Just like this, the two brothers are in this wilderness. Performed a live version of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds with the efforts of the two. A large pit with a depth of 1.2 meters. Use a power saw to cut logs to appropriate lengths. The logs obtained cannot be used immediately. Xiaoshui carefully shaved off the ridges on the surface, make it look more beautiful. Not only that, Xiaoshui also painted asphalt on the surface of the logs. Prevent load-bearing columns from rotting. The load-bearing columns are protected by this layer of asphalt. Even after being buried in the ground for hundreds of years, it will still be standing. The logs need to be cut into suitable grooves. Then install it directly. Perfect interaction with load-bearing columns. Fasten with long nails. Just a few days. He built the entire frame of the house. But he hasn't had time to give himself a day off yet. Another whole day of sawing logs, until it's almost dark. He finally collected enough wood to build the wall. Until this moment, his empty body finally couldn't bear it anymore. Before you start building the wall, first cover it with a layer of waterproof rain cloth, both waterproof and insect-proof. Every piece of wood on the wall is fixed with nails. Soon the wall was built. The rest of the walls are built in the same way. At the same time, some soil should be piled on the outside of the wall. Xiaoshui realized that there seemed to be something wrong with this house. This is definitely the most serious man I have ever seen in the wild. Just because the load-bearing beam shifted slightly. It took me a week of hard work to build the framework. This is also done for the safety of the house. Then he reset the crooked load-bearing beam. This happens. This is due to the soft soil beneath the load-bearing beams, need to be hammered tight. With this lesson, Xiaoshui spent a lot of time reinforcing the frame. He took out the lock and fixed it at the connection. After finishing, don't forget to continue to reinforce the long nails. Xiaoshui has no intention of stopping at all. He continued to use short wood, connect beams to load-bearing columns. The entire frame is now very solid. Wait until the rain stops. Xiaoshui continues to improve the wall. Repeat previous operation. Finally one fine morning, he built 3 curtain walls. There is only one unfinished wall left. Used to install gates. He first measured the length of the door. Then the long wood was measured. Leave a little longer when sawing wood. Avoid errors. Then began to build a short wall on one side of the gate. The short wall is built. The remaining part is a door. By the way, the door is designed to be so big. The whole house becomes a natural refrigerator. But Xiaoshui is very confident in his house. He went to the field again and sawed a lot of wood. Put the collected logs on the support. The roof is ready. At the same time, it should be placed in all visible places in the house. Now the whole house is completely built. Li Xiaoshui lives a primitive life. One step closer, in order to make it easier for me to get in and out of the house the next day. All customized according to your own feet. When Xiaoshui gave birth to a child urgently, he built the steps. It's much easier to get in and out of the house now. He has to make plans for when he gets old. After making baffles on both sides of the stairs, place the wood on the baffle. And all trimmed into standard oblique bangs. In addition to blocking the cold wind, this design, it can also be used to shovel snow easily during snowstorms in winter. The handrails should also be covered with thermal insulation and waterproof rain cloth. Man in a humid room. Digging a hole for myself. Could it be that he wanted to build a dry toilet? Actually not. This is a cellar used to store food during the winter. Because he wants to get there before winter. Build the whole house. So, he has to speed up. At this time, the outdoors was already covered with ginkgo leaves. The first snow of 2022 came earlier than usual. He still hasn't finished building the house before winter. But Xiaoshui is still working hard to repair the house. After he sawed off all the edges and corners of the roof. Then pile dirt around the house. Increase the thermal insulation of the house. After we finished, the whole house looked like a cemetery. Xiao Shui also realized this problem. He plans to build the house more like, and buried a lot of soil on the roof. Solve the waterproofing and insulation problems of the house. Next, Xiao Shui drilled holes all around the house. Insert a pipe to make a flue. But the breathability of this house is still not good. People are prone to lack of oxygen if they stay inside for a long time in winter. Xiao Shui first nail flannel to the window frame. Then insert wooden partitions. This will reduce the gap between the partition and the window. Prevent windows from leaking. While Xiao Shui was building the window, his cousin Dashui is helping Xiao Shui make wooden boards, used to lay the floor of the house. Wait until the windows are almost ready. The marshal has already laid the floor for the house. Finally, let us see the effect. What is the most realistic wilderness construction? Just make a wooden door for the cabin. It took Xiao Shui 2 days. He is not an idle pickaxe. It's because it's about the insulation of the house. You know, it's over 20 degrees below zero outside. It will freeze into the 6th expression in your expression pack in minutes. He first measured the length of the wooden door. The material for making wooden doors is cold-resistant pine. To install a wooden door, you must first install the door frame. The rigorous little handsome man also use a roller to check whether the door frame is tilted. Then put together the door panels that were made in advance. Finally got a shiny wooden door. Xiao Shui installed it and tried it. The wooden door and door frame fit together perfectly. It seems that the efforts of the past few days have not been in vain. He installed the fireplace first. Adjust the exhaust duct. If you think it's too long, use a saw to amputate it. After Xiao Shui's unremitting efforts, finally in the evening he installed the fireplace and successfully lit a fire. After a day of tossing, there is a lot of garbage piled up on the ground. Xiao Shui cleaned the house, then measured the size of the bed. Early the next morning, Xiao Shui started sawing the wood, preparing for building the bed. Because I have been single for 30 years, no need to exercise on it. So we just need to make the bed about 1 meter wide first. Wait until the bed is built. Xiao Shui just remembered. I also dug a corner under the house. Because when I laid the floor myself, didn't notice this detail. So you need to use a chainsaw to cut it apart. Install the lock after completion. It's a switchable corner. Use it to store physical objects. Xiao Shui decided to stay in tonight and experience it. The entire bed was installed simply. Hard bedboard. No matter what happens if you fall asleep. Xiao Shui fell asleep peacefully like this. Early the next morning, just seal up the windows. Sleeping in the house last night was so cold that he doubted his life. Xiao Shui also stuffed gauze into the inside of the window. Prevent air leakage. After all, the temperature will get lower and lower in the days to come. But the man is in the house, playing with the fairy wand happily. Happy New Year in advance. The indoor temperature can actually be maintained at around 26 degrees. How on earth did he do it? Because Xiao Shui spent a cool night last night. He doesn't want to sleep in this house at such a young age. So, he made a series of repairs to the house. To increase the thermal insulation of the house, first you need to use gauze. Block every air leakage in the house. The second thing is to light the stove as soon as possible. Let it provide heat to the house. To prevent heat loss from the stove, Xiao Shui specially added a layer of thermal insulation cotton to the smoke exhaust area. Place moisture-proof mats on bedboards. After finishing, the whole room became warm instantly. And today happens to be the Russian New Year. Xiao Shui decided to hold a bachelor party in the house. The leftover planks he used for flooring. A simple table was built on the side of the bed. Then he started celebrating the new year. By the way, I also congratulate myself for successfully moving into a big house. Fireworks are definitely a must, as the fireworks go out. Tonight is destined to be another cold night. The next day there was a heavy snowfall last night. Snow blocks the fireplace vent, causing smoke to pour into the house. The fire also went out. The temperature inside the house instantly dropped by dozens of degrees. He replaced it with a longer exhaust pipe and put red bricks on it to raise it, to prevent accidents from happening again. Also use rope to fix the pipe. Now if we want such an accident to happen again, unless there's a once-in-a-century snowstorm. Xiao Shui returned to the house and immediately lit the stove. Just then a strong wind blew outside. Cold air flows continuously into the house from the cracks in the door. Xiao Shui used the few remaining flannel cloths, repair the door. And now the whole house can only be regarded as a rough house. Next, he will renovate the house. Men can't afford a house in a big city. In the wilderness, built a retirement cabin for myself. The whole process took 1 year. All construction costs are less than 2,000 yuan. He started cleaning up the house today. Renovate the whole house. He first installed a layer of full velvet on the wooden door, then installed the door bolt. And now the whole house is airtight. If people stay inside for a long time, they will easily become deprived of oxygen. Otherwise, it is easy for her to leak in. Then Xiaoshui used a red-hot soldering iron to drill holes in the tube cover and installed at the outdoor pipe opening. This can effectively control the amount of cold air entering. Finally, block the opening. After finishing, Xiaoshui looked at the dilapidated wall. So I put another layer of wallpaper on the wall. Then Xiaoshui dismantled the table he had made before, made a bigger and taller dining table. Adopt double-layer design, just like the desk in school. Finally, paint the dining table for anti-corrosion treatment, all day long. Xiaoshui stays at home doing decorations. He needed to make a baffle to block some of the snow, because making the baffle is a big project. With the efforts of the two brothers, finally, I successfully installed the baffle at night. This baffle not only prevents snow from entering the house, it can also increase the thermal insulation of the house. Painted with anti-corrosion paint and put thermal insulation cotton on the inside, the construction of the entire house is now officially completed for such a house. Go build one.